Hi there, everyone. We are looking at one more example from Chapter 1, specifically Section 1.3. And this will sort of wrap up the discussion, if you will, in the introductory material that was presented to us. This is a rather important sort of problem to work through, and what I would encourage you to do, at least at this point, would be to read through what the discussion is and then answer the 9 questions that exist. And so I would pause the video to do that, to see if you're able to do that, because this would be an excellent exam question where I give you a scenario like this and ask you for the specific pieces, if you will, to this discussion. And so very good practice for the exam. So go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll come back and take a look at what the answers are. Okay, hopefully you've had an opportunity to work through some of the questions on here. And so what I'm going to do is read through, and I'm going to try to pick up on some of the details in the question here. And so this sort of expands on the example we had in the slides in the previous video that dealt with the vitamin C. So it says neurologists wish to study the effect of vitamin C on nerve disorders. The goal of the study is to see if taking an intravenous dose of vitamin C will reduce the amount of nerve pain reported by patients. And so I hope everybody sees here that, when they're listing this goal of the study, they're actually, sort of setting up the experiment. And that's what this is. It's an experiment. It's not a observational study. So suppose the study was narrowed to only focus on patients with the nerve disorder. Multiple sclerosis. Okay, so now they're getting very specific. Remember, we talked about making sure to have a very specific focus for your studies. So after the approval, the neurologists solicit volunteers who are patients with MS who are reporting nerve pain. The patients are then randomly assigned to 2 groups, okay, each having 20 participants, and they're using random assignment there. All right. So participants in Group A, okay, they are given the intravenous dose of vitamin C and nerve pain is tracked. Participants in Group B are administered doses of a saline, which has no active ingredients, and the pain levels are tracked. Patients are not told which of the 2 groups they are in, okay. However, the nurses administering the IVs are aware, okay, so the nurses know which group everybody is in. After a predetermined length of time, the amount of pain reported by the separate groups are compared to determine if an intravenous dose of vitamin C would reduce the nerve pain. And hopefully, I'm not sure if the study actually took place, hopefully it does, to help these folks out. So what is the population here? Well, since they want to study the goal of seeing if vitamin C is reducing nerve pain, it's those with nerve disorder, but it's more specific than that, right? It's all people with MS, okay, the big one there, MS. And what we want to do is identify the explanatory and the response variable. So I'm going to move this down here, okay, so the explanatory variable. So what's the explanatory variable? What's seeking to cause sort of the change? And so the explanatory variable here is going to be the amount of vitamin C, okay, that's given. And the response variable here, what are they trying to track, right? And what they're trying to track then is the nerve pain, right? So the response variable here is the amount of nerve pain. Okay, so as long as you have something similar to that, we're good. Okay, number 3, what is the treatment? Okay, well, that's going to be the IV dosage of vitamin C. That's what's being administered here. Okay, number 4, which group is the treatment group? Okay, so the treatment group, and which one is the control group? Well, I think they tell us that. Group A is administered the dose of vitamin C. Okay, so group A is going to be the treatment. Maybe we should say group instead of GA. Be a little bit more precise here, group A. Okay, and the control group then has to be group B. Number 5, how did the researchers reduce bias? Okay, so where did they reduce the bias? Well, it's right here. Remember, they used random assignment. They used random assignment. Very, very important in the research. Okay. Number 6, what is the purpose of administering saline? Okay, well, that's your placebo, right? So it's important that in the comparison experiment that they have set up, that those in the non-treatment group, the control group, they get the same things done to them that's done in group A, okay? And that is so that we can have an accurate comparison, okay? So that's why they're doing that. Number 7, is this single blind or double blind? And do you think it's the best choice for the study? Okay, well, they told us that the patients, right, were not told which of the two groups, so that's at least single blind. So now the question is what's happening with who's administering the IVs, and we're told that nurses administering the IVs are aware. So this is a single blind. Okay. Now, the other part to the question says, do you think it's the best choice? And my answer to that would be, well, it depends. Okay, can the nurses do it without causing any sort of bias? If they can, then sure, it works, no problem. If somebody is a little bit paranoid and they're worried that that could cause an issue, then they should move to the double blind. Okay, so it really does depend. It depends on the individual. So if the nurses can handle it, no problem. Single blind should be fine. Now, number 8 wants us to draw out a randomized comparative design for the experiment. Okay, so I think I've got a little bit of space. Let me put a line here. And let's look at number 8. So remember, this always begins with random assignment, right? Okay. And in our case, we are assigning them to two groups. And so one was group A, and the other was group B. Now, group A, I have to remember, I've got it right here, was the treatment group. It's a number 4. So this is the treatment, which means they get the vitamin C. And group B was the control group, right? And they get the placebo. And then what we do at the very end, as it's explained to us in the discussion, is they compare the results. Okay. Now, number 9 asks for lurking variables. Okay, and I think we might have talked about. I think we talked about variables in the other video when we introduced the problem. So, are there other things that could sort of impact, if you will, the results to this particular experiment? And the answer is sure, absolutely. So one of them could be, a person's diet. Okay, are people in the experiment following a certain diet? If not, maybe the type of foods is reacting with the amount of vitamin C, right? That can cause certainly an issue. So the type of diet, there's one. Another lurking variable could be family history again, right? That could be something. If somebody's had history of MS in their family, that might have a certain issue. Maybe how long they've been diagnosed with it could be an issue in this particular study, right? Maybe if the vitamin C helps people who have had MS for a shorter period of time than those who have suffered with it for a longer period of time. So things like that. So again, I think that gave you 2 or 3 there. You may certainly have some others, but this certainly is a good practice for the exam, and people wonder, well, what kind of questions could we ask? What an excellent way to sort of wrap up the discussion for Chapter 1.